Well, we had a busy day today. We were looking at horses on On-Gate and Preferred. We had a couple of horses going to the vet. Now, I talked about the horse we bought, Hunted House. We also sold Matt's MVP, so even Steven today, so to speak. I like the incoming horse, and the horse that's leaving, I think, might need a little rest. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Ultimately, I outlined it on every video we talked about in the last 4 or 5 days. I just thought that Matt maybe was running out of his classes here. I was hoping he would be able to elevate and maybe get into that non-winners of 3-4 and do well, but the last 3 or 4 starts and times that we schooled him or raced him, he just seemed a tiny bit flatter than we'd like. So I think it was a smart time. The timing was right to potentially move him. So we had 2 horses to the vet today. Centro went to the vet. Nothing found of any concern. Little maintenance done. The vet shocked 2 ankles, old ankles that were bothering him a little bit. Old stuff. And then injected his coffin joint. She asked if she could put a tiny bit of cortisone in. The withdrawal of that is 6 days, so he cannot race on Saturday. I said, absolutely. He's dropping down in class now. Let's give him a week and just make sure he's razor sharp going into his next start. Because as I said, and Harry and I talked about it after, we'll see how he races this week, injection or otherwise. We want him to come back razor sharp. And if he doesn't, then we will. Somebody just sent me a message. If he doesn't race razor sharp, then we'll give him a few weeks off. No big deal at all. So nothing found with him. My 1% went over. Not that shocking. Any of the findings. Baby stuff. His stifles were a little sore. His feet were a little pinchy. 2 ankles were bothering him up front, and we had shocked both those ankles. Now, the vet also asked that we give him a week. And when I said to Dominic, we're going to look at the long-range forecast, and hopefully, if the weather continues, now it's going to be a little colder this week, so the timing is good. Next week, if it's a little warmer out, maybe on race night at Mohawk, we'll take those corks off of him, those winter corks, and opt to race him in the summer. I believe what you will see is, if you look closely, a couple of these horses that are oddly not as sharp as they've been, or maybe doing odd things, or maybe making the odd break, a lot of that started at the start of the winter when we started to put the winter corks on the horses. They'll go for a week or two. A horse like my 1% might go for a week or two with the corks on, and then they just kind of jam them up, especially when they have ankles that are hurting them, jam them up a little bit, and it's more than enough for them to just not feel comfortable. The vet report I received is exactly the answer to the questions I had about my 1%. Couldn't put my finger on it, didn't seem lame anywhere, but felt a little uncomfortable. So what do we do? What do we do about him? Now, shocking the ankles will help. I think getting some of that cork off will also go a long way to helping him. So likely what we'll do is train him up a little bit at Mohawk next week and put him in to go next Thursday. It's my understanding, I believe, that there's no way that track was listed as fast the other night, and if so, he doesn't have to qualify that line. I like that new rule. I didn't know that they implemented it here until I couldn't figure out how the other horse got back in to go. Unbeatable Kemp, when he made that break. But a line in the mud with a break doesn't count as a break. So Percy, it's my understanding, doesn't have to qualify. My 1%, he'll be back in to go next week. Both him and Centro are going to miss this week. A little more serious note with Stay Close. His eye has a scratch on it, and he has an appointment tomorrow. He's not going to race tonight. He'll be scratched. He has an appointment tomorrow with an optometrist, eye doctor, obviously, at McKee Clinic every couple of weeks, and I didn't know this until today. There's an eye doctor that comes out to that clinic, and we're going to have him in there. There is some concern about that eye. They're so tricky. You know, I knew it from my eye and from everybody. It's not like, oh, he's got a cut on his leg, or he's got a quarter crack, or he's got a crack in his knee. It's not that. These eyes are extremely, extremely finicky, especially when they're horses. They live in a barn, dust and shavings, and trying our best to keep it covered up and help them. We did everything the vet said, and ultimately, I don't really know what to say or how it can be mitigated or fixed, or what the prognosis is, what the projection is. How do we fix this, and when can we get him back racing? But it'll be soon enough, I would imagine. But tomorrow will be a big day to find out what's going on with him. But tonight, obviously, goes without saying, he can't race. So he's sharp, ate all his food. He's a tough bugger. but he will miss tonight's racing for sure. So those are 3 horses that won't be racing this week. My 1% will race next week. Centro will race next week. Hopefully, Stay Close will race next week too, but we'll know more tomorrow. So with that, I'll let you guys go. As I said, we purchased a new horse today. We'll be looking at putting him on the site and allowing people to buy into him very, very soon. Take care.